Hello, welcome to this Integrated Skills Wider Waste webinar. Today we're looking at how to buy using G-Cloud 13, and I'm joined by Chris Farthing from Advice Cloud. Hi, Chris.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi.
I'm looking forward to this. It's great when you can actually have an expert with you who can actually reveal some of the answers that you yourself have been asking. So one of the major themes obviously of this webinar series is ask any questions you want. There are no stupid questions. Please use the Q&A facility here in the portal as we're talking. I'll come back to Chris in a moment, but firstly I just wanted to share some bits of news and some upcoming webinar information. So what have we got coming up? I suppose most immediate news is that we'll be at LARAC. Anyone who's going to be at LARAC, please come and see us. We have a stall and a stand at LARAC. Come and say hello. That's at the Hotel Metropole in Birmingham. I look forward to seeing you there if you're around. Next up, I think I've just been working out, it's nearly 4 years of been running this webinar series, and we try and make it as least salesy as possible. This is about information exchange, but actually I'm breaking my own rules because in October we thought it was probably about time, because we've been working on this product Smart Suite for quite some time now, and it's kind of ready and it has been released for a while. We thought it would be a good opportunity just to actually do a Smart Suite showcase. So if you ever wanted to know what we do when we're not on webinars, what Smart Suite, our in-cab back office solution, is all about, then sign up for our showcase, which will be on the 19th of October, again on a Thursday, and that will be between 3 and 4. And again, thinking about 4 years, our fourth Christmas running these webinars, but we started that off with a wider waste Christmas webinar, and we've been doing one ever since, and we've kind of continued that. So that will be on Thursday the 14th of December. You're very welcome to join us. I can tell you, in terms of news and who will be attending, I can tell you that there's music already sorted out for that, so I'm looking forward to it already. Still got to work out who else are going to be the guests joining me on that day. So that's the 14th of December. I don't know if you're catching the news in the environmental press about the government statements and U-turn on its resources and waste strategy. I certainly have, and I've already made a few comments on LinkedIn. And I just thought that because that was one of the areas that we started this webinar 4 years ago, when we initially were anticipating what would be in the strategy. And since then, we've had a few webinars with Victoria Murray, who has been very helpful in sort of sharing her insights on what she thought the resources and waste strategy was going to include, and then some commentary on what it had included and what that meant. I thought it was only right that we invite Victoria back on Thursday, the 25th of January, to talk about what's left of the government's resources and waste strategy. So that will really be quite good fun to find out what her thoughts are, and also there may well be information that's been published on the new simpler recycling approach that DEFRA have announced. So without further ado, I'm just going to go through a little bit of housekeeping. Please, use the Q&A questions, and myself and Chris will kind of respond to those as appropriate through the webinar. How I met Chris, I actually saw I think it was a chat that he was having on LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, that's very interesting, and it was on the theme of G-Cloud, and I thought Chris would be a very good person to ask to actually talk about G-Cloud and how people within the sort of waste community within local government can use G-Cloud to buy software and solutions. So I got in touch with Chris, and he was generous enough to say yes, he'd spend half an hour talking with me about this topic. So Chris, thank you very much for joining us, and look forward to hearing your sort of views and thoughts on G-Cloud 13. I'm going to hand over the steering wheel to you, and I'll just ask my first question really was, just tell us a bit about who is Advice Cloud, what's the company about, and why was it established?
Oh, thanks, Stuart. Well, it's been delighted to be here, and hi everybody. Nice to virtually see you all. I've been talking about G-Cloud on and off for best part of 10, 11 years now. I think certainly been using it since version 1, and so 2012 I think it went live. So version 1 went up, and Advice Cloud. Who are we? Well, I mean, first of all, I'm an ex-Gov buyer. I used to work in DEFRA, Met Police, loads and loads of local government. In procurement, and we've set up Advice Cloud. Well, my ethos as a buyer was always to better inform my suppliers about how I buy, then the wider and diverse my suppliers are going to be. So we set up Advice Cloud to do two things really. One was to work with public sector buyers, help them buy cloud and digital services, and the other side of it was to work with suppliers to help them understand how government buys. And hopefully then we can get a nice, more equitable, fairer supply chain, rather than consistently in the days that I was working there was having been forced to use large systems integrators and resellers that really added no value to my authorities that I worked in. We are considered G-Cloud and DOS or digital framework specialists, and as I say, we work with both suppliers and buyers, and the work that we've done, a lot of it is based around helping organisations, public sector organisations, buy through the various different frameworks. We do work outside of that as well. We've got category management expertise, do some work on social value. Work for a health trust, actually helping them do some social value work. And here's a snapshot of a few. And one of the largest projects we've done recently was working for DLUC with their digitising property portfolio, and we helped something like 42 different grants be allocated, and then when they're allocated, we help the authorities that are part of on the receiving end of those grants to actually get their procurements done in absolute record time. So 42 of those were done in, I think it was something like in 2 rounds. We completed those, completed the procurements, and also got the what they call the proof of concepts in place within sort of like 2 months, which was extremely rapid, and we did very well on that. This is my team. There are 10 of us actually. There's someone in finance who doesn't want their photograph to be shown. There's 10 of us in the company. And we also have very blessed to have a number of leading people from the government world, some ex-chief officers and leading people in government, certainly government digital world, to work with us on our advisory panel as well, including the guy who ran G-Cloud for Crown Commercial, a guy called Rob McLeod. Funny enough, he ran it from version 1 to version 11. And Tony Singleton actually was the G-Cloud program director. So we're well versed in people that work in G-Cloud. I think that's it now.
Great.
So
Thanks,
that's
Chris.
kind of us.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. You obviously understand G-Cloud well, and you're the right person to have on this webinar. I think the truth is probably that there's many people on this webinar who, including myself, who've been quite slow to grasp the benefits of G-Cloud and procurement through G-Cloud. I know I've just sort of become aware of it in the past few years, and obviously we've got our own G-Cloud entry now on G-Cloud 13, and G-Cloud 14 has just been announced. It's going to be next year. Is that right? Next November?
February, February we're coming out.
But I wonder if you could just sort of help us to understand a bit about where it's come, the whole concept of G-Cloud, where it's come from, what it is, and what it's for.
So you have to really go back to the dark ages of government procurement and suppliers, when they're literally, I think it was something like 80% of government spend went to 20 suppliers. And the government technology was in such a very, very poor state of affairs. There was very unusable, nothing was ever seemed to be delivered, and nothing ever seemed to work or interoperate together. And was also very expensive. So there were a bunch of people who got around the table and said, we should be doing more internet era and this is the start with people like Amazon Web Services, and there was just the start of the app stores and things like that were coming in. And I thought, well, why can't we access things like that? And procurement was often seen as the blocker. So there was initially put together for the cloud store, as it was known. It was actually going to be called the Government App Store, but then called the Cloud Store, was there to help buy cloud hosting. So moving away from having to buy big data centers just for a single application, so you could actually buy data center compute and storage resources when you needed it. Then cloud software, lot 2, and cloud. So cloud 2, lot 2 was originally cloud was platform as a service, and lot 3 was cloud software, and lot 4 was cloud services. And that's now come down to 3. So infrastructure and PaaS have all been linked. And this was launched 12 years ago, and it's now grown to over 5,000 suppliers on it, with 40,000 odd services, and doing about £2.5 billion a year throughput. And one of the main reasons it exists there is because it enables catalog buying, which means you can type in a few words on a catalog and to a number of suppliers, you can evaluate them, and then off you go very quickly. And if you've only got one supplier that comes up and it's compliant, then you can actually direct award to them, and you can get on with things extremely quickly.
I think for me, that's what's so fascinating and interesting about this. My experience back in local government days of buying and purchasing through sort of procurement tenders is, if it doesn't draw blood, if there's not bloodshed involved, then it's not actually a true tendering process. But G-Cloud suggests that that's not the case, and it actually simplifies the process, and actually, it's a much quicker, more streamlined process for buying solutions than probably a detailed tender process could ever be.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, my first experience of it was with a software supplier coming to me and said, type 3 words into this website, when I was working at Brighton Council. So type 3 words into this website and you can spend £1 million with me. And I was like, oh, really? I'm sure I can. Yeah, definitely. Then when I went and spoke to a number of people that I found out were using it, it took me 3 months, and then actually it was true that I could. I didn't have £1 million to spend with this guy, but we spent 70 grand with someone else who was smaller and a lot more value.
Yes. Yeah. I suppose that the crux of G-Cloud is this stepped process. Effectively, there are these 6 steps of you need to go through these 6 steps, and then once you've successfully gone through those 6 steps, you can kind of award and buy and start working with the supplier. I wonder if you could take a little bit of time and just sort of talk us through those 6 steps and how important they are and what they involve.
So, I mean, the 6 steps are set out by CCS. You don't actually have to do all of them for a start. Okay. So the best way is probably if I actually show you. That's a cool to actually can't remember where the screen share button. Which one was it?
The 4th icon on the left there.
From the
2 computers.
2 computers. Let me see where that. Oh, we've got it yet. Okay, screen sharing. Here we are. Share that. Easier this way. So here's the digital marketplace. This is where you'll come. So the first thing you need to do is we tend to use the Moscow thing. So if you've got to buy, it's got customers. I want to buy something, and it's okay. What is it you need to buy, and what is it important for you? We use the Moscow, which is must have, should have, could have, and won't have. Yeah. So you write a list of requirements down that gives you some keywords. That basically comes and gives you some keywords that you're looking for, and you've got to understand what it is you want, whether it is the cloud hosting, whether it's a software package, or whether it's support professional services that you need to get it as well. So the best thing you can do is then click on view the software here, as you can see.
Chris, sorry to interrupt. Would you just reshare there? I don't think you're actually resharing on the webinar.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I did see it. It did. It was with us for a few seconds and then left.
Try that again. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Where is that?
Yeah.
Are we
there
there?
we go. Yes. Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so let's go back here. So we talked about the getting the preparation of stuff, so working out exactly what it is you need to buy. Yeah. Then you'll come to the digital marketplace here. click on this and decide whether it is cloud hosting, software or support, or a mix of all three, which you can also do. So let's just go in here. Let's go for cloud software. We're looking for some software. And randomly, and it's randomly actually, I'm going to pick on your stuff. So let's say we're looking for some route optimization software. We've got some stuff we want to do, and so let's have a look for route optimization. So let's do that in there. And here we are. So look, we've got 87 suppliers. That gives us an extraordinarily long list, something that it's too much to evaluate. So we now need to, what we need to do is try and refine that very long list down. So first of all, you've got a bunch of categories here. So let's go into transport and logistics. Okay, because that one runs it down. So that's 30. That's still an awful lot. Okay, it's too many to evaluate. Yeah. So let's try it. It's only waste we're looking for. There we are. So that brings us down to 4. Yeah. So as you can see, we've gone through 3 of the stages there. So we've gone through the discovery of what we want, long list down into short list. And then we can then start looking at refining that and seeing actually whether how much of this are the actual correct ones we want. So we can look through all of these opportunities here, and we can then compare them. So I could on my whole list of requirements that I have, and compare and make sure that their pricing or the service definition should tell me all about their product, and I can then compare against each. And if I can't compare, I can ask questions of each of these suppliers. So I have to ask them the same questions. And then if I really am in a hurry, and I'm thinking, actually, do you know what? Because when they're searching here, this would just come for route, optimization, and waste, each on those words. Okay. What I want to do, I want to go really fast. There we go. So it's still sticking there to the 4. So, or I could just go, yeah, it's a bit of a risk, this one. See who's in there for that one. So there's one there. That means then I could direct award just to that company if I wish to. Well, then think it's easy just for us to, it's quite easy just to evaluate against that. So once you've actually got down, you've got the right price, you can ask for the price to make sure it's confirmed for the users that you want. If that's not clear, make sure you've got the security stuff. There's lots of filters in here that you can, use to narrow your certifications down. So you want some certain types of security you want to have. That should narrow it down again. But there we are. So that really is how to use the first 4 or 5 there to evaluate, and then you just award the contract, which is you can't award through the portal. You have to email them, and excuse me. So you email your supplier. So let's just say you're choosing. There we go. Why wouldn't you choose integrated skills? Yeah, you'd email Stuart. Say, I would like to buy this through G-Cloud, please. We want this and that, and email the call-off contract as a buyer, or you can ask Stuart to complete the call-off contract depending on what it is you want. Or another way of doing things very quickly, if you're looking, because this is quite low value that you want to do, so I just need someone to help me with my procurement. You can do that here. Let's just go, I want some G-Cloud procurement advice. 15 suppliers there. Actually, I want some ongoing support on that. It takes it down to 5. Just want to show you about how it goes quite shortly. There we are. Oh, and there's one. So that means then if there's only one supplier that will meet those needs, I can actually then direct award my small contract to Advice Guard Limited should you wish. Okay. And that's as far as it goes. That's all you need to do.
Well,
the final bit, let me just come back to you guys. So the final bit then is once you've actually completed that call-off contract, it's all been signed up, you can then just tell CCS what your benefits you've received from that are. And that's it.
That's frighteningly simple.
Yes,
Chris,
and
I've got to
say, I show public sector buyers this all the time. My team do as well, and they said that's just too easy. Well, that's probably why it's done £15 billion worth of procurement. 15. Sorry, typically. It's done 15 billion pounds worth of contracts for it so far, and it's doing about 2.5 billion a year.
Mm. And I
For which
guess,
local government's a significant part.
yeah, I guess what is not is not known maybe and not recognised by the purchasers is that suppliers have been doing all this work in the background. They've been actually setting out their offer, pricing it up, and thinking that through, how they're actually best presenting that with all of the features and functionality. That's already on there, and as that's already been thought through. It's up to the buyer then to kind of work out what it is that they want and which of those suppliers meets that requirement. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can there's no need to go through I've got to go and get 7 quotes, because it's all in the application and putting those sellers up. That's the quote, and the process of using the search terms is the actual thing. That's your tendering process that you're using.
Yes.
And it takes a little bit of time to get your head around it. Once you get your head around it, it changes everything.
I agree. I'm just thinking, we're 22 minutes into this webinar, and I'm sure there are people on the other end of this thinking, okay, I've got some questions. Please, let's get the questions to Chris now while he's online with us and during the chat, and he can answer them direct. But I agree. I think that's one of the challenging things about G-Cloud. It seems so simple. Too simple almost. And I was mentioning my experience in procurement. It's kind of, if it doesn't draw blood, then it's not proper procurement. Well, this is the way that authorities are able to buy services and
quickly
solutions.
and compliantly.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, any questions from anyone? Or Chris, is there anything that you think authorities ought to be aware of that is not covered in that? What is a very straightforward and simple sort of demo and presentation of G-Cloud?
I think there's a lot of myths around it. I mean, I'm sure you've got some questions as well, but there's one of the myths is that it can only be for 2-year contracts, when actually the contracts can go up to 4 years. There's one that you can't negotiate because it's a catalogue. You're not supposed to be able to negotiate terms. Well, actually, you can. There's discounts are available, and you can get deal-based discounts. The only thing is the supplier needs to make them available to everybody. But that's not your responsibility. If they give you a discount, and then just tell CCS once you've got it, make sure you get your contract first. And CCS, Commercial Services, who own the framework, can actually deal with the supplier and make sure they make it available to everybody. So you can do, and that still doesn't affect you. There's a termination with convenience clause in there, 30 days. So if you don't like the stuff that doesn't work out for you, you give 30 days notice, and there you are. And you don't have to pay a whole 3-year deal. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Can I ask about your experience of local government and procurement, the procurement services in local government? How well do you think they have got to grips with G-Cloud, and are there some blockages there?
Pretty much all local government suppliers. If you go, I can't show you now, but you go onto our website, the Advice Cloud website. There's one of the things, it's so open and transparent, G-Cloud, that they publish the sales throughput every month in the form of CSV. We've taken that over the past 9 years and published it on our website, so you can see who's buying what from whom. It's a visualization of the management information reporting. And virtually all local government buyers authorities have bought through it at some point. Yeah. So it may be the text. It might not be within your particular directorate, within your local government organisation, but there'll be someone somewhere that may well have used it, and you can see which suppliers have sold in there, as well as which authorities have used it as well.
Yes. The issue of direct award is a sensitive one, but you've already referred to it there, and effectively what you said was, if there was only one supplier who can actually fulfil that requirement, then you end up in a situation where you're using direct award. I mean, are there any more measures you need to take if you're going down a route and you find there's only one supplier who can provide that service? Do you have to do anything else, or can you kind of go through that process?
Providing you're happy that you're compliant, and it all depends on the value of the contract as well. Remember, so if it's below threshold and it's below, if your contract standing order say certain things, if it's like a 5K contract or a 20K contract, it's fairly minimal risk of challenge. It's not going to be challenged. Okay, it can't be challenged legally. It can maybe reputationally. If you've knocked out a local supplier to use someone else who can do what you're doing, and they happen to be related to one of your councillors, then you might find yourself in a bit of difficulties. Your local, we have the Argos here, you might find your Red Top making a bit of waves because they do like to poke their fingers at councils a lot. But other than that, no, it's mostly risk-based, to be honest.
Right, interesting. Well, I hope that's given people food for thought. I'm sure that there must be those of you who are on the other end of this webinar thinking of lots of questions, but none of you are actually, none of you have written anything yet. So I'm kind of waiting to see what you're going to ask. My question was about, or more of a statement, because really was about reading through. I mean, there's a lot of background documentation as well on G-Cloud, isn't there? And there's kind of references to several documents. There's a lot of reading in there, but actually, if you do read it, it does make some sense. My experience was in our first submission was to exclude hardware because hardware was listed in the exclusions within the particular lot we're in. But then when I read closer, it said actually, but hardware is only excluded if it's sort of not related to the solution that you're providing, which means it was included. So oddly, hardware was included, but it was under the list that said exclusion. So it's things like that that really need a bit of attention paid to them, don't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's to stop people trying to buy like networking equipment and PCs and printers and things like that.
Yeah.
But if you've got a particular software package, providing under the regulations is that if you're buying software, then that has to be 50, and it includes hardware. The software has to be more than 50% of the contract value. If it's not, then it's a hardware contract.
Yes.
Yeah. So but it could be. I mean, I've heard of Chromebooks being bought through it. That one's quite towards the edge because they're buying the Google Suite. And the Chromebooks being supplied along with that as part of a monthly management, as part of a 30 quid a month, whatever it was, management fee.
Could you just mention something about professional services? And we talked previously about this, but you kind of did surprise me a bit to say that actually you can buy professional services through G-Cloud.
Yeah, there is a lot 3 with cloud services. Like us, so you can buy my services, my company's services through there. You can buy cloud, anything related to cloud or the software that you're buying. You can buy that through lot 3, which is a specific lot for that. Or if you're buying software and you need to have installation, design, configuration, customization, there is a Sophia rate card in lot 2, the cloud software lot, which allows you to buy that, but you have to be buying it alongside the software. You can't just buy it separately to buy, I want some stuff to do with software, unless they've got a separate lot 3 cloud services listing.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate your time, Chris. It's been really helpful. Can I ask if you've got if we can provide some links to yourselves in the notes? Have you got sort of documentation that would that people could have a look at in their own time, just on your services and what you do?
Certainly. I mean, just go to our website, advice-cloud.co.uk. There's contact us buttons on there. There's a button on the top for public sector authorities who want to know exactly a bit more about us, or you can call the number. We'll give you the numbers to call, and there's also a general inquiries email, which is hello@advice-cloud.co.uk. And we're available to have a chat and get in touch with someone. We're delighted to speak.
Great, Chris, thank you very much. As I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, it's really good to find people who are experts in the field. The one thing that you have given me is a kind of sense of relaxation when it comes to G-Cloud. I think there's a lot of nervousness about it and using it, but it's good to speak to you, and thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking, and wish everybody the best for the future. Thanks a lot.
Great, thank you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.